Okay, we are going to be looking at James then. We're going to be on question number 19 today. Harold, you're up for 19? Okay. And what nice insights we have as people share what's going on. So, yes, you can. Okay, a bunch of bookmarks. Oh, good. Okay. I can take this part.
Okay, so I just want to start off with a review or reminder as to why James wrote this book, as described on page 1 in the introduction. James's aim is not to give a theological presentation of the gospel. Rather, he writes his book, to those who already believe the gospel, and his goal is to help them live faithfully as followers of Jesus. So the question for verse 19 is, what should we be swift to do? Let's go down the line, starting with answer A. Rebuke sin, which is a wrong answer, because we should rebuke sin of a fellow believer, but not swiftly. To rebuke means to correct and to bring it to their attention. In Matthew 18:15, Jesus describes a scenario among his disciples who sinned. He insists that the first step is to have a private conversation. James 18:15 states, "Moreover, if thy brother shall trespass against thee, go and tell him his fault between thee and him alone. If he shall hear thee, thou hast gained a brother." He goes on to say, "But if he will not hear thee, then take with thee one or two more, that in the mouth of two more or three witnesses every word may be established." Also, as the Lord spake unto Moses in Leviticus 19:17, "Thou shalt not hate thy brother in thine heart. Thou shalt in any wise rebuke thy neighbor and not suffer sin upon him." For as the non-believers, we are to explain what sin is and where it will lead them to without repentance. Answer B, should we not offend quickly? That's a wrong answer. No, we should not offend quickly. Of course, we should not be offensive to anyone. Even if we are angered, we should pause with our reactions and not let the situation get the better of us. Proverbs 10:19 tells us, "In the multitude of words there wanteth not sin, but he that refraineth his lips is wise." Also, Proverbs 17:27, "He that hath knowledge spareth his words, and a man of understanding is of an excellent spirit." So we see that anger does not produce the righteousness that God desires. C is the correct answer. Listen to understand. Being quick to listen means that we discipline ourselves to wait for the whole story when we're being spoken to before diving in with our opinion. Slow to speak is the flip side of that and means don't blurt out everything that comes to mind. We should be careful of the type of people that we spend a lot of time listening to, which can lead to trouble and temptation. In Psalm 1, "Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sinneth in the seat of the scornful. But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law doth he meditate day and night." Also, the end of Proverb 1, 5 and 6. Therefore, the ungodly shall not stand in the judgment, nor sinners in the congregation of the righteous. For the Lord knoweth the way of the righteous, but the way of the ungodly shall perish. There are other people we should be quick to listen to, one of them being our elders, because of their experience. In Hebrews 13:17, obey them that have the rule over you, and submit yourselves, for they watch for your souls as they that must give account, that they may do it with joy and not with grief, for that is unprofitable for you. Also, wise people we should listen to more often because of their good advice. In Proverbs 13:20, he that walketh in the wise men shall be wise, but companion of fools shall be destroyed. Also, godly people, because they can provide God's perspective on our situation, as stated in Psalm 141:5. Let the righteous smite me, it shall be a kindness, and let him reprove me, it shall be an excellent oil, which shall not break my head, for yet my prayer also shall be in their calamities. Break my head is translated as not let my head refuse it. Uh, Being quick to listen opens the door to greater communication because listening shows respect. And when people feel respected, they are more likely to return that respect and listen to us. God's word always shows us the best way. And when we follow it, we are blessed.
Okay, those are some great verses that go with everything. And I got to say that I can't wait to get to James chapter 3 because it goes about, a lot of stuff about the tongue later on over there, but this is certainly a precursor to everything. There's one verse that I'd like to add on. It's Proverbs 18:13. He that answereth a matter before he heareth it, it is folly and shame unto him. When you stop to think about it, whenever somebody's speaking in wrath, what they're doing is really being self-centered, okay? Because they're offended and they want to be able to say something about it because they want to actually slap back at somebody. That's what's happening at that kind of time. Stop to think if we are, and this is a real main theme for me, if we're talking about Christian love, we're talking about wanting the best for others. That's the pipes banging from the steam. Okay. If you want, yeah, that's not people knocking at the door. Okay. Yes. No, it's neither is it spiritual entities. So anyhow, um, uh, so when we try to think of wanting to love others, that means wanting the best for them, which precludes us for getting angry for something that we're not having go our way. Stop and think if you got a kid who's in a math class and they get 1 plus 1 wrong. Okay, they get 1 plus 1 and they come up with the answer 3. Do you yell at them for being so stupid? No. Do you get upset? Well, how could you do this to me? You embarrassed me. Me. You embarrassed me, my stupid kid. And how could you be that way? No, what do? We love them and we want to encourage them and we want to explain it to them nice and try to help them out with it. Um, in that explaining, we are thinking of them. We're wanting to help them out instead. Um, when we are responding in wrath, uh, then it's really, well, this is something that goes against what I want. We're thinking of ourselves at that time. One of the things that I remember Nancy and I we heard, and as we were becoming parents and everything, was never get angry with a kid over an accident. Okay, because accidents happen. You explain it to them. You get angry for sin, but you don't get angry for the accidents. And how many parents, oh, you dropped that on the floor, you stupid kid. How could you do that? And just stop being so clumsy. Okay, so no, we go to explain things to people. Same thing when we're helping others around us. It should be a question of speaking lovingly to them, and part of that is that it's a folly if we answer a matter before we hear it. That's really at the root of prejudice, isn't it? We don't bother to hear that somebody's just like us. They have humanity also, and they have reasons for what they're doing. But what we're doing is we're jumping the gun, and we're speaking angrily in in prejudice. No, take the time to listen, take the time to talk to people, and that is something that's uh, that requires deliberation. uh, Jaden and I, we had a visitor come in. We were doing our theology thing, and there was a person who's a little bit hard to talk to sometimes. You have to listen patiently and let them get it out, and it takes them a long time to get it out. And I was happy for this opportunity because Jaden, being young, he grew up in Sunday school, and he was learning all the different facts. But then dealing with people is a different story. Okay, you can memorize facts, but dealing with people. And so I pointed out to him, I said, just like I listened to you, I listened to this other person also. Okay. And this is a model to take the time to do that. I'd like to ask, did he get to visit you in the hospital by any chance? Just Okay, okay, because he was looking for that opportunity. So anyhow, and the time was for him to give you the time. Okay, so to when I see him next, I'm going to say, now, did you get to talk to your mom? And I'll talk about that with him. There you go. Okay, he's got a psalm. I'm gonna talk to him about that again. Okay, so he should have more than 8 words for you. Okay, so that's the thing, is being able to patiently go through things. That's what keeps us from the wrath, because sometimes some people can be very hard to talk to. It's hard to understand them. It's hard to follow them, and this is what ministry is all about, isn't it? Is taking the time. Don't get in wrath. Get frustrated, upset. It's, hey, I am here to minister to you, and I'm here to help you. Okay. Some other thoughts that people had along the way here. Yes, Brother Harold. Yes.
During the preparation, I came across another definition of the word offend in Matthew 18. When the disciples came to Jesus, they asked him, "Who is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven?" And Jesus called a little child unto him and set him in the midst of them and said, "Verily I say unto you, except ye be converted and become as little children, ye shall not enter into the kingdom of heaven." Later on in verse 6, he goes on and says, "But whoso shall offend one of these little ones which believe in me will have the millstone hanging around his neck." But another definition of offend is to cause to sin.
Hmm.
Would there be any tie-in to the other definition of offend in with as far as being offensive or insulting in any way?
Right. Okay. We should be swift to not offend, when I had that answer in mind, I was thinking about the fact that the Bible talks about faithful are the wounds of a friend, and but that the kisses of an enemy are deceitful. And in fact, that's going to be coming up in probably in about 2 months at this point, the rate we're going. But the idea is that sometimes we have a good kind of offense. Okay. If somebody is, um, if somebody is coming off the wrong way, you see them the way they're acting towards people in the supermarket, and they're your Christian brother, and you have to go to them and say, listen, I don't mean to be offensive, but you're really coming off the wrong way. That's the kind of thing that says it's kind of like a faithful wound. Yes, you are wounding them, but as a friend, you're wounding them for their own good, and saying something that's hard to hear. And so that would be it's still offensive, and that's hurting them, but in a good way. Okay. But you don't go and call them stupid or anything like that. You're just sharing that. And then so in the Matthew passage that you just read, it's talking about an offense that's meant to damage, that's meant to hurt. And that's going to be coming from a person um, who is wanting to make that other person pay. And typically, they could never pay enough. Because once you slap them around with some words, and they go, well, I'm sorry, I didn't mean that. When we come back and say, yeah, you haven't paid enough because I don't think you get it yet. And then we slap them around with some words again. That's malevolence, really, because what we're doing is we're trying to judge them. We're trying to, uh, um, um, again, make them pay like they've got to pay as if they had done an offense in court. So whether it's going to a kid and maybe yelling at them so that they um, uh, because we want to put them down and we want to make them feel low and we want to hurt their esteem, dominate them. I'm not a big one about self-esteem because it can be so abused, but there is a case where you don't want to damage somebody. Well, no, sometimes parents can be like that, husbands can be like that, wives can be like that. I'm never like that, but no, well, we don't know. um, no, I'm not like that. No, I never do anything like that. Okay, so the idea of um, hurting somebody just because we want to get back at them until they really, really understand how we feel. So that would be the Matthew thing. Okay, so offense in the context, offense like, well, I might be wounding you, but you need to hear this for your own good, not because I'm trying to lord it over you so I can put you down and I can take your position or whatever. Okay. Does that all pull together, I'm hoping? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. The tongue, boy, I'll tell you, the tongue is a powerful thing. Um, and we will get to that in James chapter 3, especially. I'm looking forward to that one. So you can go ahead and read ahead in James chapter 3 and see what I mean. Okay, somebody else. Somebody from home with a thing.
I have another one, Pastor.
Yes, go ahead.
It's me over here.
Oh, wait. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought that was Doug Weiss's voice. I
No.
thought, well, no,
No, wait.
okay.
One other thing about rebuking publicly, where James says to take someone aside and talk to them privately. In 1 Timothy 5:20, it says, "Them that sin rebuke before all, that others also may fear," like making a spectacle of it, or making a scene, perhaps.
I wouldn't say spectacle, but there's some things that, okay, it's kind of like the way I would handle it this way. If somebody's got a problem in their life, that they're going through privately and they're trying to deal with it. It would be a mistake if I said, well, let's haul you before the church on Sunday morning and let's tell everybody all about your problem and how and try to correct that. You know, you wouldn't want to do that. But if somebody is doing something kind of publicly and it's affecting others, that's one of the guidelines I go by. If somebody's issue is somehow affecting others, then yes, it's going to be handled more publicly then, uh, because they did the thing in front of others. So now we're going to say, well, listen, you might have offended people here. You might have made somebody think that they can do the same thing and get away with it. And we got to let people know, no, we don't not just going to overlook things all the time. So that would be the case of something like that. So if, especially if it's when it gets into a public realm, then we're going to do it publicly. Kind of goes with the Matthew 18 passage that you were looking up, where you go to somebody one on one, okay? But if they don't hear you, then it's going to be taken out into a wider context, to the point where it goes before the church in a business meeting and gets taken care of.